Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater. We're in the PRS booth at Winter NAMM 2019 on a gorgeous day here in Anaheim, California. We're with Tim Pierce. Great to see you, man.
You too. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, so you're hanging out here in the PRS booth.
I love PRSs. Paul's become a friend, and I play them all the time. I use them as tools. I mean,
right.
It's not just show. I use them.
Right on, right on. So a lot of guitars go through your hand. You use
Yes.
a lot of different instruments for things.
Yeah.
What is it that attracts you to a particular guitar and to PRS in particular?
Okay, Paul's guitars, the necks play like Ferraris. That's the first thing. So as a guitar player, I can move smoother and faster. Now, sometimes I'll pick up like a cheap old, like, Teisco Del Rey or something. Is that a guitar or is that an amp?
Both, I think, actually.
I'll pick up an old guitar to make me sound like a worse guitar player.
Right.
So there's still, playing too smooth and too fast and too well is not always the goal, but most of the time it's the goal, and more for me, it is who I want to be.
Right.
I can fly, I can play better on a PRS than any other guitar in the world. One of the other reasons I play them all the time is a lot of the older guitars have this, the headstock where the strings go like this.
Right.
So you're constantly tuning the G string. I won't name the brand, but it's a traditional thing
Right.
where the headstock goes like
Through the
that.
side, right.
Paul took care of that, so I don't have to spend my time tuning. I work really fast. I have to get stuff done really fast. So the actual headstock, everything stays in tune. The other thing about Paul's guitars is that they're getting more and more open sounding, more vintagey sounding. It's kind of a paradox to have this Ferrari that really sounds like a guitar was supposed to sound in 1959. So
Right.
the pickups are really chimey and open sounding. He's always improving everything. The bridges, they're getting better all the time.
Right, right. It's interesting how a small detail, like having the straight pull across the nut to where it does stay in tune, makes a big difference, especially, like you say, when it's somebody like yourself who has to work fast.
Yeah, well, every minute adds up when I'm doing my work, and if I have to stop between every take and retune the G and just get it just right, and it's getting hung up in the nut, it's a real detriment. So,
Right.
I love these guitars. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I have to ask. So, you're an incredible guitar player. When do you find yourself in a situation where you have to sound worse?
Well, it's usually for a particular client. Like a perfect example would be, you remember when the White Stripes showed up, even Nirvana showed up. There's an aesthetic in music where you might want to sound like a teenager rather than a polished pro.
Right.
And I have no problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's more, to put it even more positively, sometimes you want to sound like a kid. And people interpret the word kid in different ways.
Right.
And so sometimes you want to be sloppier.
Right.
You want to be more rough around the edges. And that can be a nice thing. It has character,
Right. Yeah. You don't always want polish.
Yeah, I mean, Jack White from the White Stripes is a great example of that. I mean, he never pursues polish. I mean, he's an amazing musician, but it's rough around the edges. That's
Right.
a perfect example.
And it reaches back to people like Jimmy Page.
Absolutely.
Nobody can question the virtuosity of Jimmy Page,
yeah.
but he's not always the most polished player.
Yeah, when I was coming up, I loved Led Zeppelin, but I always thought that Page was not. I always thought he was sloppy. I would never say that now.
Right.
Now I understand. It took me a
Right.
long time to understand the benefit of that irreverent kind of just loose playing.
Right, right.
I was a Hendrix fan too, and Hendrix, he was very loose. I would never say he was sloppy, but that looseness, sometimes fighting a guitar can loosen you up.
Right. And that's impossible to capture. I actually did a Led Zeppelin tribute show one time, and you just can't. You can't capture that kind
I
of thing.
can't do it either. I've spent too much time being polished
Right.
to go the other direction. It's too late for me.
Right. So with the other aspect of Paul's guitars, of course, you touched on it a little bit, is the tone that they produce.
Yeah.
Do you find that tone translates across all the styles that you work in, or do you focus on them in a particular area?
No, now it does. The thing is, I'm more of a humbucker user than a single coil user. Somehow in music, I can make a humbucker sound. I can kind of make it sound like a Strat by cleaning it up. So I can use them for any sound. And then in particular, these pickups.
Right.
When he developed that pickup, I think I first had one of these about 8 years ago, and they sound. You can make them sound like anything, like a
Right.
Gretsch. I even talked about how those were like Gretsch killers. It reminded me of a Filtertron.
Right.
So yes, between his humbuckers, that pickup, and I mean that was called the Signature originally, that guitar. And then the new John Mayer guitar with the single coils. I did a video, I don't know if you saw it, where I compared a real 65 Strat to the PRS, and they sounded identical. So I use that a lot as a tool too. So yeah, he's got it all covered now.
Right, right. So what are you up to here at the show? Are you here in the booth? Are you doing other appearances?
That is a great question. I have an educational, I have my master class, you know about that.
Sure.
So I can show that to people here. So my reason for being at NAMM is better than ever because I have something that I actually want people to buy. I wanted to buy my subscription to my website. I have over 100 hours of lessons and content on my masterclass, and I try and make that grow if I can. I have employees, you know, it's a real business, so I have to.
Right.
But it's really nice. I have film editors and a webmaster and a guy who does tabs. But the most amazing thing about NAMM for me now is the YouTube stars. Like I was standing there talking to Tyler Larson.
Right.
These guys, yesterday I met Paul Davids. I don't know if you know Paul Davids, but he's amazing. Sure. I just met Paul Gilbert downstairs.
Oh, yeah?
Steve Stein, all kinds of people. Rick Beato. Rick came to my studio and filmed on Monday, and I had 2 dinners with Rick Beato. I mean, these are the guys that are my idols now.
Right.
It's amazing. And NAMM, they're all here.
Right.
I'm hanging out with my favorite YouTube stars.
Right, that's awesome.
So it's like I'm in heaven.
Right. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. It is really fun. One of the great things about coming to NAMM is just hanging out with all your friends and getting to see everybody. So many.
Yeah, and it was always the musicians and the producers and the engineers, but now it's these amazing YouTubers. I just love these guys.
Right.
I learn from them, and I collaborate with them, and it's
you're one of them.
Awesome. I guess so.
Yeah, I mean, the master class is killing. You do
thank you.
Some of the best content out there.
Thank you.
I highly recommend it. I've definitely checked it out.
Thank you.
It's all such
it's
great
going
stuff.
well.
Man, it's so great to see you.
You too.
I hope we're going to get you back out to Sweetwater soon.
Well, you are. I'm going to see you in March, man.
Awesome.
I'll knock on your door. I'm doing a bunch of filming with a bunch of different products. I'm going to demonstrate basically what I do for a living, layering guitars on songs.
Okay.
And I'm going to use Paul's guitars and pick some other, products and set up a workstation and basically show people how to record guitar. So I'll see you in the springtime.
Well, that's going to be great. I'm excited.
Me too.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right.
Good to see you.
You too.
All right. And thank you for joining me at Winter NAMM 2019. We're in the PRS booth with Tim Pierce. And thank you for joining me here. I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater.